Today, people are increasingly choosing products, brands and services based on their online presence, relying heavily on reviews and ratings from members on their social networking sites. The overall effect is an erosion of the impact of traditional media as the impact of advertising declines and the need for recommendation increases. It's with great pleasure I welcome Jimmy Mayman, CEO GoViral, to tell us how to avoid being rejected by the consumers and how we can learn to activate campaigns through social media. As you leave the Debussy, please collect your copy of Social Metropolis 2008, courtesy of GoViral. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. And let me jump straight into it. As Steve said, today I'm going to talk about something that we call the Social Metropolis. Social Metropolis is an analogy for kind of what we are seeing with the consumers and what's happening out there. Basically, what I'm going to try to run you through today is, as I said, the Social Metropolis, how you work with consumers in this new context, how you activate your brand, and then hopefully provide some insights, some thoughts on how you can navigate through all this, because there's no doubt there's a lot of clutter, a lot of things happening out there, and you need to understand what that means to you as advertisers and agencies. Social Metropolis, not going to spend too much time on it. Really the reason why we're using this as a reference is because we see it a bit like the Brazilian favela, taking it from a low-tech environment to a really high-tech environment like Shanghai or Dubai, where suddenly you have a whole new set of architecture, you have a whole new set of technologies. And really that's also what we have in the communication world. So that's really what we're going to try to frame today, talking about that change and the implication it has on the way we create content, the way we distribute it. So really today I'm going to try to talk about the content, how we should evolve it, from the 30-second TVC into something that fits in this new environment, and also how we should try to get it out there, how we can engage people, how we can involve them in the campaigns that we are doing. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. Hopefully it's, as I said, going to leave you with some food for thought. That's at least what I will try to do. So really, last year when I was here, I talked a lot about the change from traditional media, where people were sitting inactive behind the TV screen as the potato couch, watching kind of what was on, to the more active environment where people were increasingly getting in front of the computer, actively engaging with the content. This year, I'm going to add something to that, and that's the whole participation thing. That's where the social media part comes in, and hopefully that's where I'm going to shed some light on, where we see that development going, and as I said, the implication. Because really, what's happening with this explosion of media is that we're fighting for the consumer's attention, and it's getting increasingly difficult to get that attention. If we look at kind of this slide, some of the attention services that we see out there that consumers, they themselves choose to go for, they choose to go for news, they choose to go for search in general, they shop online, they do a lot of these things, and we believe that we need to kind of look into that behavior in order to better understand how to distribute our content, our advertising material in a way where we can kind of get their attention. Because really, if you look at the more traditional media, this was a study made by Accenture, as you can see, a broadcast study. And the interesting thing here is really, if you look at the way we consume traditional media, consumers are increasingly getting fed up with the lack of control, with the lack of, they can't watch it whenever they want, the content is not as appealing as they wanted. So all the things, the interactive thing that we are putting on top of the traditional TV and that we're seeing happening with TiVo and also with interactive media, when we look at something like this, then that's where it will lead us. And that's why it's so interesting to talk about these things. Also interesting to look at is where they spend their time. I think if we look at the overall global media spend, advertising spend, online, it's perhaps up to 12-13% of the total media spend. Whereas if you look at the media behavior, the media consumption, it's obviously much more than that. It's actually up to 25-30%, which means that there's an increasing gap here, which means that not only do we need to advise our clients on where the consumers are going in order to kind of get in front of them, but also the brands need to realize this and kind of get into this environment and take the chances and get stuff out there. Also, the reason why they have to do that is because it actually